This is the Astrology Show podcast with Jessica Adams.
Thanks, Shane. This is your Astrology and Tarot for the week starting July 8. Aries, rejoining a group or rethinking the old group in a dramatic new way is in your destiny for quite some time. The full moon in Aquarius on August 19, not so far away, is coming along, and the 18th, 19th or 20th of August might already be in your diary with a team, a club, or other network or circle. It all becomes a great deal more obvious that this is a life changer and a game changer from December the 7th. And in fact, 2025 is calling to you now. Power and control are the issues with the group, your allies and your friends, and a power-sharing compromise is in your stars. Taurus, you could easily find yourself in a different job by the end of this year or at the start of 2025. Ceres and Pluto in Aquarius in your career, unpaid work and academic zone will roll from December, and this week is all about mulling over your future and your chosen profession, or quite a different field, as Pluto is in your 10th house of success, and the full moon on the 19th of August is also heading there. What is happening here is a slow transformation, and you may decide to retire or just accept a new job interview between now and the start of next year, with all the hints, clues and signs there this week. Gemini. The full moon on the 19th of August will show you the pros and cons of a choice that you're making about foreigners and foreign places. From December the 8th, you will see why 2025 will be all about your hands on the controls once you find the right approach. This week is a big nod to the future, and what you're looking at here may involve the web, publishing, academia, travel, or immigration. With Pluto coming along in Aquarius at the moment, everything is about your self-control and your willpower, which you probably know. Cancer. Well, you're ruled by the moon, so you can already see this full moon coming on the 19th of August in terms of your choices about money, business, charity, valuables, or property. Mercury retrograde will land in your zone of banking and Bitcoin shortly, so time is of the essence, even if you're just dealing in old-fashioned market stalls. Try and do as much as you can this week because delays are coming. This week is about your will, your insurance, your legacy mortgage, childcare payments, benefits and the rest. And what you need to do, according to your chart, is think about December, January, February as a 3-month game plan, but try and do as much as you can this week. Leo. This is a really big year for duets and double acts of all kinds, marriages and professional partnerships, platonic pairs as well. For the best outcome, given that your potential as one half of a pair skyrockets from December the 8th, you may want to think about the two of us this week. The full moon on the 19th of August, not so very far away, will make all these issues about the two of you perfectly clear. There is power in the room now, and it wasn't there before, and January and February will show you. Virgo. This Pluto in Aquarius weather, coupled with Ceres in Aquarius in December, is building in slow stages even now. It's about your health and also your workload. It's about housework or walking the dog, daily life. What matters most on the full moon on the 19th of August is your day-to-day operations. And this week asks you to look at what's been happening since the start of this year when something or someone became such an issue for you, and deciding what you're going to do as a long-term strategy. Willpower with a capital W is the magic word. Libra. Well, finding the controls again with your children, young relatives, godchildren, or just with a younger generation of people as a whole will take time. Pluto in Aquarius showed you who or what might have given you so much clout, but you have since found the stakes extremely high, Libra. In fact, what looked as if it was going to happen did not happen at all. But now you are having second thoughts about returning or repeating what was there in January and February. With a younger generation, Generation Z, Zoomers, or even babies, even questions about pregnancy, the time has come to have a strategy. Scorpio, when you think back to all that has happened in 2023 and 2024 to date, developments involving your relatives, house, hometown, homeland, apartment, or household suggest that you've been offered real power, then had it taken away or chosen not to pursue it. This is the intense Pluto cycle. And even though things are moving very slowly, this August 19th Aquarius full moon is key with your people or your place. So ponder it this week and think about what you're going to do. But this is a very long game that you're playing. Sagittarius, the media and the web are still very much a political space for you in terms of people and all their machinations and their complications. Even though so much of the web is supposed to be social, your chart says there's so much more to it. The full moon on August the 19th lays all the advantages and disadvantages on the line for you, and that will be evident this week. There will be a replacement if you choose to say no to whomever or whatever is hovering, and yet you can't just rush these things. There also has to be closure. So this is a few weeks away now. Capricorn, having begun 2024, going dramatically forward in a couple of new financial, charity, business, or property directions, you can now stop and ask yourself a few useful questions. The full moon on the 19th of August is along the way, and you will feel it this week because the decision is pending. Meanwhile, Pluto is in Aquarius, and you're also coming up to a period of delay, stop-start, and flux with Mercury retrograde, also in the finance zone of your chart. So even though what you're looking at on the calendar is a few weeks or months away, this week is the time to try and gain closure with it. Aquarius, your name, face, role, title, brand, or reputation, perhaps your appearance, now moves up on the priority list ahead of the full moon on the 19th of August. January was an interesting start to the year for you because you took a couple of new paths in that direction. By now, maybe you had anticipated that something would have started, but the Pluto in Aquarius transit is notorious for complication. If you still believe and want what you were offered earlier this year, it is still out there for you in terms of your image. But this week is a really good time to go more deeply into the pros and cons. Pisces, you are in the kind of cycle in 2024 and onwards when you need to be by yourself so that you can pursue your religious beliefs or your spirituality, your trust in astrology or the tarot, a psychic, perhaps a psychologist, a counselor, or even a psychiatrist. This is the famous 12th house transit of Pluto, and you are at the very first stages of it. That does not mean it has not had an impact already. In fact, the last 6 months have shown you that. What you are being shown this week is a looming choice on the calendar. You will be taken to a point where you have to say yes or no, and perhaps maybe. But what you do in terms of heavy thinking this week is part of that progress. And now to your birth chart. If you have factors in Virgo, with Mercury retrograde in Virgo from July 17 to September 11, try to get health insurance, doctors, dentists, hospitals, diets, personal trainers, and so on finalised this week. Virgo rules the body, mind, and spirit. If you have anything in Leo in your natal chart, Venus enters that sign on July 11, and I'll talk more about that in a moment. You do need to know that Mercury retrograde is also in Leo, though, so from July 17 to September 11, expect courtship, the bedroom, and the world of children or younger people to be on a loop with stop, start, and go slow. You may want to make up your mind another time. Your tarot card this week is Aries, the Five of Wands or Staves, Taurus, the Ace of Swords, Gemini, the World, Cancer, the Six of Pentacles. Leo, the Devil. Virgo, the Ten of Wands. Libra, the Lovers. Scorpio, the Ten of Pentacles. Sagittarius, the Ace of Wands. Capricorn, the Ace of Pentacles. Aquarius, the Page of Wands. And Pisces, the Hermit. Fated connections are Capricorn and Cancer for highly political questions about power and money, or power and property, business, or charity. If it's your birthday this week, then happy birthday. Do have Plan A and Plan C and Plan B for a financial matter this year, which will chop and change until December the 8th. Happy birthday to Jack White, who is 49 on July 9. Courtney Love is 60 on the same day, and Jim Kerr is 65, while Mark Almond is 67. This is quite an incredible day for musicians. Bon Scott was also born on July 9, and so was Mitch Mitchell. Babies born this week have the South Node in Libra, so future partners will be past life connections. Let's look at this Leo lineup in the heavens this week and the impact on your horoscope. If your love life or the love lives of people around you seem particularly complicated, there's a reason for that. Your week begins with Vesta, Mercury, Apollo, and the Moon, all in Leo, the sign of courtship and the bedroom. Venus, the goddess of seduction, enters Leo on Thursday, the 11th of July. I've been talking about Mercury retrograde. Now, normally you would expect things to reach a straightforward conclusion by August, in a nice linear progression from A to B, for you or for the people that you know, as you can bet your bottom dollar that if people are having a complicated time with partners, it's because one or both of them have a Leo featuring in their chart. Mercury in Leo does a huge backflip, so don't take everything at face value over the next few weeks. Dating online is particularly vulnerable to Mercury retrograde, and Mercury, as the planet that rules communication, emails, text messages, and phone calls, is misbehaving. You may not get exactly what you think you're seeing. From July 3 to 25, there is certainly seduction in the air, which is what you always get with Venus, but the communication, the information, and the explanation will go backwards later on, according to all the laws of astrology. Mercury goes backwards or retrograde from 21 to 29 degrees of Leo. If you or the other person has anything at 21 to 29 Leo in the birth chart, that will produce stop-start, and it has to be said, maybe a complete reversal. A typical example would be a love letter that ends up in Siberia. It's all very Pride and Prejudice. Mercury can also produce tricky people or even outright deceit. People go back on their word. It will be September 9 before you finish the loop or see other people finishing theirs. In the meantime, look for headlines about famous lovers and partners who will also be affected by this. Madonna is a prime example. She is a Leo. Mercury retrograde is basically the messenger of the gods, moving backwards and forwards like a courier stuck in traffic. He starts off at 0 Leo on the 3rd of July and is already receiving signals up ahead, which are basically about stoppage and reversal. So bear that in mind, no matter if you are talking about planning a pregnancy with your husband or if you're dating and hanging on the telephone. This is all happening in the 5th house of the birth chart, and the more Leo factors that you have in the 5th house, the more you will be profoundly affected. Leo is the sign of monarchy, king or queen of the jungle. You will see the lion symbol all over Versailles when you go there, but also, of course, at Buckingham Palace. And with all monarchies, it's about the royal bedchamber, courting and being courted, and also heirs, spares, and pretenders to your throne. So in astrology, Leo rules the 5th house of dating, mating, relating, separating, and procreating. The affair that leads to a divorce is Leo. The one-night stand that leads to a baby is Leo. Fertility issues are also ruled by Leo, as is the desire for a boy or a girl. Pregnancy, wherever it ends up, is also Leo. Whatever you have in Leo shows how you are in the game of love. Jennifer Aniston has Apollo in Leo. Apollo is leadership. She leads by example in a dignified way, so her behaviour during the Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie saga was exemplary. Aretha Franklin had Pluto in Leo, so that's power. And RESPECT became a feminist anthem. Leo is about pride. A group of lions is a pride. It's the zodiac sign most associated with proud people. From this, maybe in your chart or somebody else's, you get the link with heirs, spares, and pretenders to the throne. You get the proud parent, the proud godparent, and the proud grandparent. Or at least it should be like that. If there are difficult patterns around Leo in the birth chart, you find that this is an uphill battle with, for, or around that younger generation. So Aretha Franklin, for example, born with Pluto in Leo, had a long feud over the fact that she was not godmother to Whitney Houston. So it can get complicated, but you're likely to see all that play out over the next few weeks as we go through this Leo weather. I also mentioned Mercury retrograde going back into Virgo. So it dances around Leo, Virgo, back to Virgo again, and onwards. Virgo might feature in your birth chart or in the chart of somebody that you know. And as this is the sign associated with work, employment, and the employment market, we're likely to see all sorts of things roll backwards and forwards, be it strike action by working people, or whether it's negotiations with the trade unions. There may be all sorts of questions oncoming about how working people are to function when there is chaos in politics. And this brings us to President Biden. So part of this Mercury retrograde action takes place in his 11th house of groups and, of course, political parties, this being the Democrats. As everybody is affected by this transit, we can expect chaos to follow the UK and US questions about leadership, which are currently brewing as you're listening to this. July and August will be remarkable for the amount of backtracking that you're going to see at the top. And of course, when the dominoes are played, every single person in the game changes their position. But the thing about Mercury is whenever it goes retrograde, you get people changing their minds. They change their allegiance, they go back on their word. What seems to be in the bag is not in the bag the following week. Negotiations famously produce deceit on Mercury retrograde, and big declarations are usually pretty hollow once the cycle ends. The most famous example being peace in our time, negotiated with Hitler. It wasn't peace at all. So, all of this is ideal for rehearsal. It's extremely good for first, second, and third attempts, and it's very productive if you have something on the drawing board that you want to give yourself 2 or 3 months to reshape, to perfect, and to fully sort out in terms of the details, which is what Virgo rules. And it's the same as well with Leo matters. So if this is about heirs, spares, and pretenders to the throne, courtship or the bedroom, treat July, August, and September as a dress rehearsal. If you see people making grand declarations about an engagement, a marriage, a separation, a divorce, child custody, adoption, a birth, remember the rules with Mercury retrograde, which is that everything has to be proven over the long term. Mercury is also very much associated with transport and travel. It's associated with extreme weather that disrupts transport and travel, and very much with computers, hacking, and computer viruses. So Mercury retrograde upcoming in Virgo is once again about all of that and the need to have plan B up your sleeve. As I said, it's not necessarily negative at all. It's a very good time to put things in motion to see what if. and to cross things out of your notebook and go back to the beginning to get them right. If you're born under the sign of Aries, then this is particularly about your children, other people's children, or a younger generation. It may be stepchildren, for example, or a niece. This Mercury retrograde in Leo for you will result in quite a lot of back and forth. And if you're a Taurus, it's going to be about the family, the house or the apartment, and the household. So if there's an Aries and a Taurus, both in the family circle, you can see why the younger generation would affect your planning. If you're a Gemini, then Mercury is your ruler. And again, we see this connection with questions about the household, the house or the apartment or the family, because Mercury retrograde for you will go backwards through your home and family sector. So it may well be that within the circle, you find an Aries, Taurus, and Gemini who are all affecting each other. If you're a Cancerian, then this is very much about money, paperwork surrounding money, business, property, even simple shopping or selling. And it's as well that you understand the process with Mercury retrograde because it's important to always read the fine print. Refunds are very common on this cycle. Anything beginning with re as a prefix is Mercury retrograde. If you're a Leo, then again, it's also about money, business, property, insurance, and so on. So you can see why there might be a connection here between Cancer and Leo, as you're both looking at much the same things. If you actually are a Virgo, this is about your name, your reputation, your listing on the internet, your social media profile, your business card, and your title. So as these matters come up, you may want to have plan B. If you're a Libra, then this Leo retrograde cycle is in your sector of groups, friends, networks, circles, and be it formal or informal, people power as part of the whole. People do tend to say things that they later retract. There's that re prefix again on Mercury retrograde. So be aware of that. If you're a Scorpio, this is about your career, your unpaid work or your academic career. This is, of course, holiday season in the Northern Hemisphere. So all that toing and froing is going to have an impact on what people say and plan and what has to change. For Sagittarians, this cycle is also about career. So once again, we see the double whammy. It might be Scorpio and Sagittarius together in the same company. What you're going to see here is the need to look at the paperwork with a magnifying glass and understand that what is in writing may go into a state of flux just over the next few weeks. If you're a Capricorn, this is fairly and squarely about your finances. We have both ends of your financial chart being triggered at the same time. So it's just as well to check the numbers. If you're an Aquarian, then I was talking about courtship and the bedroom and partnership. For you, this is personal because Leo rules your sector of ex-partners, future partners, and current marriage or pairing. For you, it's time to check the details for the other person, as you're likely to see plans change. And if you're dating, be aware that you need to hold fire before you make up your mind about a new person. And finally, Pisces, this transit is also about your partner, your former partner, or a potential partner. So an Aquarian or another Piscean might be in the mix. Over the next few weeks, it will pay you to take your time as you make up your mind. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch up with you again next week.